Hi everyone, welcome to Excel is Easy Lesson 1. This is a new channel on YouTube and we're going to be going over many of the things in Excel in short demonstrations. My name is Susan Spitzberg and I have been an Excel instructor for over 30 years. Before Excel came out, I taught different spreadsheet programs such as Lotus and VisiCalc. In addition, I am a subject matter expert for my school, which means that every time Excel comes out with a new version, I get to rewrite the materials to make sure that they match the steps and the screens that have come out that are new. Today we're going to talk about the parts of the screen, how to move around in your worksheet, and how to work with sheet tabs. So here we have a blank Excel sheet that I have already named Lesson 1 Workbook. If you start a sheet, before you name it, it's going to be called New MS Excel Worksheet up in this spot. In earlier versions, it might be called something else. I am using Excel 365, and for just about everything that I'm going to be doing in these demos, it will work even if you have an earlier version. Now to the left of your title is the QA toolbar, and the QA toolbar is an often overlooked part of Excel and any other Microsoft Office product. So I'm going to be spending more time on that, and that will be what we'll do in Lesson 2. So underneath your title bar, you have your ribbon, and your ribbon is divided into tabs. Right now we're on the Home tab, and you can tell because it's got a line under it. And as you can see, as I move through here, the things underneath the tabs are going to change because every tab is divided into a group. And within the group, you will have these buttons that will let you work on whatever the title is for that particular group. So in this case, I'm in the font group, and I can bold or italicize or underline anything that is in the current cell, which I'll talk about in a second. Some of the buttons have down arrows, and when you hit on the down arrow, like on the border button here, you will get a list from which to choose. Now, in the case of the borders, not only do you get a list, but you also get a little picture of what that border can do for you. So this is a very nice feature. You can also change the color of the cell, and you can change the color of the text. In the lower right-hand corner is this little curly Q, and this is called the Dialog Box Opener. And when you click on this, you will get a screen that looks very similar to what we used to get before we had the ribbon, because the toolbar had format cells, and then when you went into it, you wound up with all of this. My feeling is that they put this in here for people when they first started going to the ribbon, and they might be having some difficulty, that they could go into the Dialog Box Opener and it would have everything that they used to have. So just about everything here is also on the ribbon. The effects here are not, and also bold italic isn't, but these could be added to the ribbon if you really wanted them. There are other things on here for number, alignment, and border, and some of these will come up when you hit other dialog box openers. Now underneath that we have our name box, and I'll be talking about that more in just a bit. And we have the insert function button and the formula bar, and those are very good topics for a later demonstration. So under that, we have our columns, and columns are designated by letters. So we have column A, column B, column C, and the columns, when you get to column Z, they start all over again, A, B, and your final column is column XFD. So I doubt very much if you're ever going to run out of columns. Rows are designated by numbers, and we have row 1, row 2, row 3, and rows go over 1,000,000, so you're never going to run out of rows either. And I'd say that because if you were on a very early version of Lotus or Excel, you might remember a time when we only had 256 rows. So we've come a long way since then. Underneath that, we have our sheet tabs. In Excel 365, the default is what Excel uses unless you change it. So the default when you start a new file is to have one sheet. Some of the earlier versions of Excel actually start with 3 sheets here. It doesn't matter because you can delete them or add them, which I'm going to show you in just a couple of minutes. Now, when a cell when a column and a row intersect, that is called a cell. And every cell has an address. In this case, where I am is cell B2, because it'll have the column letter first. As you can see, I'm on F2, F5, C5. So wherever I am is called the active cell. And if I were to do something like type or format, it would go into that cell. And there's a number of ways to tell where you are. First of all, the cell has a big thick border around it. Second of all, the letter and the number are shaded, and they also have a line. This one had, the column has a line under it, the row has a line next to it. And the last way that you can tell is to look in the name box, because you can see that I'm in D3, C5, E4. And you can also use this name box to get someplace that you want to go. So say I knew that I had data starting at A23. I could type in A23, and it would take me right there. It's not case sensitive, so you don't need a capital A. But it would take me. So if you have a couple of blocks of data, maybe one starts with H1 or H7, and you just wanted to get to that block really fast, then you could just type it in here, and you would go straight there. Now, moving around, there are many different ways that you can move around. Some of them are with, the major one is with the mouse, is that you just click where you want to go. But using the keyboard, you can use the arrow keys to move you one cell to the direction that the arrow is pointing. I'm doing down right now, I'm doing left, now I'm doing up. So that's a good way to move around. Another way that you can move around is to hold the control key down and hit that arrow. That will take you to where your data starts. And if you didn't have any data on that particular row, then it would take you all the way to the end. Okay. All right. Control End, END, will also take you farther down, but this time it takes you to the end of your data. So I have two little columns of data here, and you notice that it took me down to the last column and the last row. And so if this was, much bigger, it would take you to the lower right-hand corner of your data. I'm going to do Control Home, because that'll take me back to cell A1. And if you look at some textbooks, they will sometimes call A1 the home position. So when they're giving you exercises to do, that'll say start in the home position, which means that they want you to be in A1. Okay, so if you are not in column A, but you want to go back to the beginning of the row, then all you have to do is hit the home key, and that will take you back there. Now, a couple of other good ones. Notice that I have 17 full rows on my screen. And if I hit the page down button, I will start in row 18. And then I will start in row 38. So page down will take you down one screen of data. It depends on the resolution of your monitor and how you have the zoom set as to whether you're going to get 18 or more or less. Page up takes you up. So if you have a lot of data, this is a good way to move around quickly. Okay, now the other one that's really cool, and most people don't know about this, I'll have to show you after I get some more sheets on here. So let's put another 2 sheets on here. I'll click this, and I'll click that. All right. And now, if I want to, I will be on sheet 1 by clicking here. My hands are on the keyboard, and if I want to go to sheet 2, then all I have to do is hit Control Page Down, and it will take me to sheet 2. And Control Page Down will take me to sheet 3. Control Page Up will take me back. So if your hands are on the keyboard and you want to keep them there longer, this is a good one to know. Now for your sheet, you will have one sheet. If once you start a file, you can add more. If you right click on a sheet, it tells you all the things that you can do. You can insert a sheet from there if you don't want to use the plus. You can delete a sheet. You can rename a sheet. You can move or copy a sheet to another file, a new file, or this file. In fact, there's enough information on move or copy that I might do one of the lessons just on that. All right. Move down to tab color. Because there's an arrow, that means that when you point to it or click on it, you're going to get another box of something. In this case, we have colors to choose from. So I'll just take red for that. And then for this one, I'll just make that blue. Okay. Now, if you want to rename a sheet, you can do it from the shortcut menu there, or you can just double click it, and that will highlight it, and then you can say my data or my chart or whatever you want to do. Okay. So if you forget, you can right click and say rename. And there you go. Now, the third thing that you can do with these things is to group them. And if any of you remember carbon paper on the old typewriters, messy sort of stuff, isn't it? What you can do is you can set virtual carbon paper on your worksheets so that what you type on the first one will go onto the other ones also. So in order to do that, I hold down the control key and I click the other tabs that I want. And notice that they get a thin little line here, and up on the top in your title bar it will say group, so you know that it's grouped. Now the thing is, say we were going to do a budget, we could put all of the labels in here, and because we might want to be January, February, and March, so we put all the labels because those aren't going to change. It's just the numbers that are going to change. So let's just put a couple of things in here. I'm not going to type the whole thing, but you're also going to find, if you stick with me, that I have trouble typing and talking at the same time. So here we have just a few things here. Maybe we would have a total here, and here we could actually put, I will go over totals at another time, but we could actually put the total in here right now, because once we get those filled in, this number will change. So a couple of ways that you can ungroup: you can right click and select ungroup sheets, or you can just go into one of the other sheets and that will take it off of there. So it's no longer grouped, but as you see, if I go to my second sheet, then I have everything I typed, and on the third sheet I have everything I typed. So grouping is a great way to set things up so that it will be consistent for you at any time. So I'm going to hold on here, and I'm going to put up a little review screen. Well, here are the things about moving that I went over, and if there were some new things to you that you'd like to remember, you might want to stop the video and write them down. So your arrow keys will move you in the direction that they're pointing. Control arrow will move you to the data. Control end will move you to the end of the column, to the last column on the row, or the last row of data, depending on what you have. Your home key will take you to the beginning of the row with an active cell that you're in. Control home will take you to cell A1. Page down will go down a screen. Page up will go up a screen. Control page down will take you to the next sheet. Control page up will take you to the previous sheet. End right arrow will take you to the data or to your last column. And end down arrow will take you to the data or to the last row. So next time what we're going to talk about is the QA toolbar. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you would like to leave me a comment. This is my first try, and I know I covered everything I wanted to cover, and I hope to see you again real soon.